Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the HR and Payroll 2.0 podcast. I'm Pete Tiliakis, and as always, I'm joined by the legendary Julie Fernandez. Welcome, Julie.
Thanks, Pete, and happy Memorial Day to you. Thank you for your service, and for any listeners with active duty or retired vets, thank you for your service. I know it'll be well after Memorial Day by the time we run this, but
yes. But thank you to everyone who serves this country or has served the country. Freedom isn't free. Don't forget why this weekend exists, and go have fun, but be safe out there. So,
all right, but you're back from on the road.
I am. Yeah, so, just a quick stop between events. It's almost about to wrap up here. The spring analyst update, as I call it, the trail. But yeah, just came back from the UKG event, the first, I would say, global analyst event for the two firms since their inception back in 2019, 2020. Mm-hmm. And I think for me personally, I've been going to both firms' events, Kronos and Ultimate Software, for many years. So it was interesting to see that. But yeah, probably their biggest one yet, their most global yet. And lots of change going on. I'm excited to share it and all the fun we had there on Fort Lauderdale Beach. So
excellent. And then just in case folks are wondering, UKG has upmarket and downmarket products, but this global event focused on both, right?
Both,
I think you're going to be telling us about both.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit of UKG Pro. We'll talk a little bit of UKG Ready. We're going to talk a lot more about the go-to-market and the changes there. And I want to talk a little bit later on in that product part about, at what point do these two solutions sort of begin to overlap? They've made it very clear that they're going to stay separate, that there's a need for it. I would agree. But man, Ready is maturing really, really fast. The adoption's there. You kind of wonder, do you need to go to Pro if you're, if you mature up? I don't know. We'll see. It's got it all. So yeah.
All right. Well, how about you start us from the beginning here?
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump in right here. I want to start off. I'm going to try to share some slides. Hope I don't screw anything up while we're doing this. And by the way, I'm brainstorming this as we go. I haven't really got a layout of a plan. I'm just going to kind of share with you my thoughts with what I have. So let's start with sharing my screen here. I want to show you kind of this new look leadership team, right? Can you see that good, Julie?
Yeah, that's pretty good. And it's actually pretty large. I think
cool.
You got it big enough to see.
Yeah, look, I think the story here, as we've probably known now for about a year, because Jennifer Morgan was in place at the last analyst day. I think she was fairly new. But look, right? Totally new team. What takes you to one level doesn't always take you to the next. And so, with UKG leveling up into the, multiple billions, aiming for 5-10 billion, I'm sure at this point, it's going to be a different team that takes over. And if you look across the landscape here, you look at Jennifer Morgan and Rachel Barger, both from Cisco and SAP. You certainly got Bob Del Ponte still from the Kronos days. You got a CMO now from Autodesk, I want to say. Arlen Shankman is from Boomi. Suresh Vittal, the chief product officer, is from, drawing a blank here on him, Adobe, maybe, something like that. So look, all big tech is the point here, right? Lots of big tech. And I think that you're going to see that be the big theme here, right? Is UKG's going to another level and really becoming, as they put it in their words, an AI workforce platform of the future. And so, yeah, it's going to take new leadership, and here they are. They're putting in their folks. And if you kind of go a layer deeper, right? Lot of experience here in big tech. They brought in some new sales leadership. Julie, they've segmented sales now a little bit more into the small market, mid market, enterprise, that sort of thing. Yeah. Versus maybe necessarily going at it by product alone. They brought in some really tremendous product leadership on the AI and data side of things from big tech again. And then and then there's a smattering here. I think you'll see of folks like Richard Limpkin from Umidis and others that are
and still industry alignment as well, right? I know that was a big thing just around the COVID years, was to begin to boost up some of the industry alignment.
Yeah, I think UKG's always done a good job of that, right? Because of the WFM side of things, I think they already had a pretty healthy inroads and track record when it came to like the healthcare and manufacturers. So, and they're doing a lot of co-innovation in that space now, like bringing together some of those sector leaders, hospitals and that sort of thing, and helping build some of these new innovations they're looking at. So, but look, man, a more mature, big tech looking UKG is what I would tell you here is the story around this. And I think you're going to see them really push harder on maturing the organization, right? Bringing them into the new age and bringing them into that AI focus. So
exciting. And of course, I think folks, it's a natural reaction for buyers to get a little bit rattled when there's a lot of leadership changes, but it's also not a bad thing to align the team all at once as opposed to dribbling it out forever and ever. And we've seen flavors of both in the market, and so kind of exciting that they're coming together and will get a chance to gel as a new team with a new energy and new focus.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think, when I look back at the notes, my notes and what we were provided by the team, they reminded us UKG's on a transformation journey. And I kind of said this before, you ever seen a big old not old, a big ship, right? A big ship, when it has to turn, it doesn't turn fast, right? If you turn the wheel, it takes a little while for the body of the ship to correct and then it to pick up steam and go. I think that's the case here with UKG. They're very much, kind of righting their ship and figuring out what direction they're headed in. And I think Jennifer's got a great handle on that. Back to your point about customers, the thing that I love about the way she talks is, again, customers coming out first in everything she talks about, even in their AI strategy, right? It's about AI transforming our customer experience. It's the number one thing that she talked about right out the bat. So very important to them. And I think that's, again, I've probably said this before, but I think that's been UKG's Achilles heel when they came together, right around the transformation or integration time, right? When they got together. And I still say UKG kind of bought Ultimate. I know it was an equal sizes of organizations, but it felt more like Kronos had the deeper experience around acquisitions and aqua flips and that sort of thing. And it made total sense for Aaron to be in charge, Aaron Ain. And so I think it felt a bit like Kronos had kind of taken over. Then we had a bit of the ransomware challenges, which I hate that for anybody in the space, and UKG handled it very gracefully. But that does leave a bad taste in some buy side folks' mouth, right? I mean, and that's going to distrust, right? So I think those things have been a bumpy road for their customers, and it seems like things are turning around. I know Bob obviously has a vote of confidence, being one of the few Kronosers in the Cronites in the C-suite, right? Left, and so he's leading a resurgence in that side of the house, and so I love hearing that from her, right? Because that she's coming out there hitting right out of the gate. Like, we need to get this under wraps here and be known for that. And I love that. So
certainly a great welcome message to the community. Customer North Star, big ship.
Yeah,
we're on our way.
Yeah. I also don't think, when we listen to the go-to-market talk from Jennifer and Rachel and obviously her CMO, it's all about really emphasizing UKG's global span and all the use cases and ways that they can support organizations. And that's now they're kind of aligning around this plan, engage, schedule, pay, full employee lifecycle support model, which I think is unique, right? I mean, if that schedule part, like, a lot of folks can do the other parts of it, but the schedule part, I mean, who does it in more places and has done it historically as at the high impact and complexity as UKG or as Kronos? Few, right? And so, and I think it shows in their customers, right, that they bring forward.
Sure. And great to highlight now. There's a lot going on in the workforce management space, just product-wise across the board. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to see if I think I had a slide on that. We can forego that, but the point is that the focus on their customers, their use cases, their just their output and what they're solving, right? The thing is, I think, is interesting too, and smartly, right? I wish they would have spent a little bit more time here, but partners, they emphasize the essence of what partners are going to mean for extending their capabilities. So think back, I think it was maybe about a month ago, 2-3 weeks ago, they did a ServiceNow announcement, a big integration with them. Which I think is really cool, right? I mean, I know Workday's done it. I know others have done the same. But so I think that's indicative of the co-innovation you're going to see. There's already some co-innovation long been going on between them and their customers. Again, like I said, some of the bigger healthcare firms are working with them on that front when it comes to workforce management. And certainly don't forget, look, UKG is I believe the only one of the HCMs building and partnering with Google, right? I think most others are either some other cloud platform or they're doing their own thing. They're not using Google the way, and Google uses some of the products at UKG as well. So there's some co-innovation there that's powering Bright, which I think is going to be really interesting. And then the breadth of the use cases that they can touch in HR. Again, not everybody can hit all those things. That's really, really, it's really, really different. And if you sprinkle in the great places to work for info, right?
That's
All
neat.
that data, that's super unique, right? And that's what I think they recognize,
Yeah,
the
and don't
power of that
forget
data.
things like People Doc from long ago, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that was before Great
HR
Places
service
to Work,
delivery.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so some
Yeah.
cool things there.
So, Julie, some of the other things I thought was nice to hear, again, kind of pushing further on this whole customer part of things. Obviously, UKG has been trying to use a lot more AI, a lot more data and insights to help power their customer experience. Again, let me see if I've got, I want to pop up something here to show you kind of how they are looking at their customers.
This is the part where I'm supposed to dance to keep people
This is the
occupied.
part where you're supposed to keep, I'll just talk about it. They basically have a very sort of sales to service concierge program that's working really well, but also they're going into more of and listen, don't forget, managed services is still a key part of what they do: benefits, payroll,
Yeah,
support with
it's the
time.
big ones.
So those things are those are key. Those are going to continue to grow. We're seeing more of that in different countries. Canada's doing very well with payroll, for example. I know the benefit brokers are very important to this ecosystem for them. But they're also talking about bringing out an Emerald service, an Emerald level service when it comes to their customer experience. Where is my? I want to find this because I want to show this to you. You might find this interesting, Julie.
I
Yes.
probably will. And
Yes,
for
your
what? And
customers
for once,
will.
I get to see it along with everybody else.
I know. I'm sorry
This
about
is a
my slide handling here, my slideware. Like I said, I didn't entirely prepare for this to do with slides, but I'm like, we're going to do slides.
It's all right.
All
I
right.
think
So
people
look,
like us to get stuff out quickly, honestly.
yeah, I think let's come down here. When you look at the way they're really looking at their customer experience, right? They want that to be both a proactive engagement, but also collaboratively working with their customers, and that's going to include human touch, AI, and like I said, just a heavy emphasis on the client. Again, the Emerald experience, they are bringing out a new service level that will go into a deeper concierge and a deeper white glove sort of service. So customers have more options now, I suppose. But again, this is just an area I think that you're going to see a lot more emphasis on them using their data, AI, and experience to really bring a better customer experience and responsiveness to their adopters. So really happy for that.
Great.
Yeah. All right.
I've always wondered what trumps like silver, gold, platinum.
Emerald.
I guess emerald is
Emerald.
top of the stack now.
Emerald is top of the stack. Okay, let's talk about what I got. I really geek on, Julie. This is where I want to talk through with you because I think this is really cool stuff. This is what I think UKG has a superpower to do. Now let me share this, and I now remember I shared this last time at the last analyst day. I know they showed it to us. I talked a little bit about it. I might have done so kind of quickly in an update, but this is what I'm really hyped about, Julie. And tell me if you can see this connected agent approach here.
Can definitely see it. It's a little
Got
small,
it?
so please do the
Too small.
voiceover.
All
I
right,
think the
let's bring it
voiceover
bigger.
helps.
Let's
There you
make it
go. That's a
bigger.
little
Let's
bit
make
better.
it bigger. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
All right. I can't get to the next slide. As you can see, that was confidential. So, all right. All right. So, look, this is what I think is really rad, right? Like, if you think about most companies, a lot of these things are all in different systems. Time's in a different system, HCM's in one
True.
system, pay is even sometimes in another system. But when you think about the way UKG what they can offer now, right? HCM technology pretty much has everything you need. Workforce management, I would argue, still leading the industry. Immedius is now in the fold, right? With one view,
Yes.
you've got global and managed capabilities globally. And of course, you've got the whole scheduling part of that, which comes with your WFM. And I just think that there's a really great opportunity when, you and I talk all the time about orchestration. We talk all the time about taking those darn checklists and handoffs and making them go away, making them seamless to everybody involved, particularly the employee. But this, I think, is actually that. This is actually that. And I think they have the opportunity more so than anyone because they have so many things inside of a native system that they could offer. So many use cases, right? Again, engage, pay, schedule. Can't remember the last one. But the point is, there's a real opportunity here with this. Whereas I feel like with a lot of other systems, they've got to connect to other things and sort of work across those, right? Which is not unthinkable. It's happening. It's already happening. But
Yeah.
I like this. And I think when you think about, you sprinkle in that great places to work for data, this is where UKG can really, really, really shine.
Yeah.
If a company goes all in, right? If a company goes all in on it.
Yeah, and I think there's a
Yeah.
little bit of a logical separation there too, so that if there is a constraint and, sometimes you might have to use a different HCM platform globally
Yeah.
than something else, you still have this orchestration that's happening to connect all of the other agents, I guess, visually, right?
Yeah.
And this visual. And it allows you to think that you can still get kind of um that multiplier effect, right?
Yeah.
Even though you might have a constraint in one corner or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and there are customers that are doing that, right? I mean, UKG
Yeah.
has enabled that standalone payroll. There are some that have taken that path. But yeah, no, this is exciting to me. I think this is the really cool stuff. This is where you're going to get an opportunity to really see all the use cases in HR be able to activate against each other and sort of break down the silos that I think we've had in the past. So I
Yeah.
really like this.
Yeah, nice visual.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sure that will resonate with a lot of folks.
yeah, yeah, right. When you think about like all the handoffs, now, Julie, now I want to come back to the whole ServiceNow thing. Like, let's say, and it doesn't have to even be about UKG, but let's imagine you take that scenario there and um, you sprinkle in something like a ServiceNow, which is interestingly becoming for a lot of companies, particularly enterprise.
Yeah, yeah, large
That's the
company.
experience for a
It
lot of
is.
employees. That's their day to day experiences through ServiceNow.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah, especially the bigger end of the scale or those who are just hopping onto it as a because IT has it, and so it's a quick, easy way to at least bring some capabilities while you're maturing. We see it all over the place for sure.
yeah, yeah. Let me ask you this, Julie. Do you remember not long ago when I remember my Deloitte days? That would be about 10-ish years ago now, or more. ServiceNow was not a thing in HR. It was
Not
definitely an
much,
IT.
no.
It was an
Yeah,
IT
or
tool every IT
procurement.
had.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
asset management, right? And the
No one in HR was using ServiceNow.
Yeah, yeah,
Now it's
well, they
now it's
they
the
did
darling.
eventually have to do a whole HR
Yeah.
module, right? Because it wasn't purpose built,
Yeah.
initially, and,
This is just a ticketing system.
yeah, yeah.
IT ticketing.
Making it work was painful, and then at some
Yeah.
point in time, they clued in and realized, "Oh, maybe if we make it a little bit, purpose built, it could actually be a thing."
How
So, I
crazy.
think
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they've done a good job. They really have. Let me ask you this, Julie. How long before or does it make sense for an HCM to pick up ServiceNow at some point? Maybe
Oh,
merge, maybe
well,
buy? Or is that like more of a Microsoft
I you know
acquisition or something like that
I
someday?
that's an interesting question, but, I think
Like, think about it.
it could happen from one of the
Yeah.
big guys, the SAP's, Oracles,
Like an
right?
Oracle or something, right?
Um,
You could see a big tech
I
firm.
tell you where else it could happen is a lot of times it's a layer that's built into your HRO providers, the
Yeah.
Accentures and the Deloittes, it's just
Yeah.
key foundation to them delivering their experience. I almost wonder though, I don't know, dollar-wise, they might not be too big, but have you been to one of their conferences? I mean, holy cow,
No,
you
but I
wanna
heard
talk about
I know.
tens of thousands of
It's like
people.
it's like Dreamforce. I heard Dreamforce, it's like their satellite viewing centers, to go see. I'm like, what's the point of even
I mean,
going?
if you're gonna pick something up that big, you're picking
Yeah.
up an elephant
But
basically
think
by the
about it.
tail.
I mean, how long before? I mean, how much service now, right? HR service desk do the HCMs want to build? And they've all built or bought something, right? UKG picked up
Yeah,
People Docs back in the ultimate days. How much do they want to build of that? And how much does ServiceNow want to be an HCM product? Or how much does right? The overlap is
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
getting at. There's just seems to be more and more blurring. And I think it's great that the AI is going to handshake and support each other. But I just wonder, is there a value
yeah.
prop for someone to maybe get together?
I have a feeling we're headed in a brave new direction, right? With
Yeah.
AI and how things are connected. Remember when the HRO
Yep.
providers back in the Exalt and Hewitt days, built that experience layer and coded it all as a part of their proprietary platforms. And then,
Yeah.
SaaS came along and all of a sudden that layer is ripped out, right? And not as effective. And then you see the likes of a ServiceNow or independent layers, that are no longer intertwined with a
Yeah.
proprietary platform. And now, like, I feel like AI could be the game changer that says, well, maybe there's another way, and things can actually connect and talk to each other outside or beyond the reach
Yeah.
of any particular platform.
Yeah. It has
Um,
to. It has
yeah,
to.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think that's another thing where UKG, right? I mean, eventually will open up more, get more, more building going on the platform. They're already doing that with their partners. So I think that's probably a key piece too here, is really just opening up and starting to extend and give even maybe customers the opportunity to check out
and
some
you know
things.
what? I'm going to tell you something from the buy side that I see more and more often. Of
Yeah.
course, it's a trap that I think a lot of HR buyers fall into, which is, you pick up on the idea that there's APIs now, right? Or that
Yeah.
there's AI or whatever it is, the newest technology. And so you go to market and say, well, I just want, two-way open APIs. And like, what is that? There are so many nuances to that. What does that really mean? I mean, what you think that means is very different than what a provider might think it means and how everyone makes that happen. And so I feel like, from the buy side, we're in a space where you think you want APIs, but do you really want all the data just firing itself off without any validation,
Yeah.
pause points and there's more to think about now. You can, but just because you can, should you?
Yeah.
And how do you knit some of these new things together without risking actually knitting them together and being off to the races and really
Yeah.
not ready for it, right?
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, we'll leave that for another day, I think.
Have you ever wondered what really makes a generation tick? Who gets to pick the name? And why the slang keeps changing? Don't worry, I can help. My name's Dr. Megan Grace. On hashtag Gen Z, I share the voices and experiences of Generation Z, how they're different from other generations, what moves them, and why they do what they do. In each episode, we go beyond the buzzwords and the stereotypes to dive into real conversations and the insights that matter to making intergenerational collaboration a reality. You can catch hashtag Gen Z on the Work to Find podcast network and wherever you listen to podcasts.
But yeah, look, I think that the other thing I want to get into here is you asked about the two platforms, Julie,
Yes,
and how they're
yes.
doing. But I want to opine a little bit before we get going here into, or let's save that. Let's save it to the end. I'm going to talk through. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Ready. Let's
Okay,
talk a little bit about with Pro.
let's
But
do
just
it.
along the lines, before we leave the connected agent thing, one of the things I thought was kind of interesting, I don't remember if they were talking about this as a planned, I don't believe it was. I think we were just talking the potential here, right? So maybe don't quote me that this is planned, but the idea of maybe having portability on user experience, right? So in other
Yep.
words, if I go from one UKG customer to another as an employee or as an administrator using the system, wouldn't it be nice if my preferences and the way and my history and details and engagements with the system carried with me? And I think that's actually pretty cool. I think that's something
Yeah.
you could take a step further from these connected agents that could begin to contextualize the way that I like to engage the system, the way I like to look at my pay slip or learn about my benefits or whatever, put my time in, time off, however that is, right? There's different modes, there's different ways. For it to know that and follow me, I think that is kind of interesting. So there's a lot of little scary too, but
Yeah.
interesting too when you think about just that orchestration. I'm all about ease of use and making things, less frictionless or
Yeah,
friction.
I'm
So
not sure it's an exact parallel, but on the
yeah,
benefits side, we hear a lot of folks talk about hyper personalization, and I wonder if
yeah,
that's, kind of down the same vein, right?
yeah. Well, we all kind of demanding it now, in everything we're doing. We're going out and we're expecting it from everything we buy, every website we go to. We want it all personalized. Even now, look, you go buy Nikes, you go buy Vans, you go buy any shoes, you can get a custom version for some fee. So
Yeah, there you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
All right, are you gonna
All right.
take us into Ready first or
Let's
Pro?
talk. Let's talk Ready, right? So Ready is the down market solution, totally killing it, right? And when I say down market, it's playing in that lower end of the mid market downward, and really doing very well, right? Growing globally, growing very very mature. You've got adoption gaining. I think they said you got about 100 customers now using Canada payroll, and that just went live this year, a few months ago, if I'm not mistaken, Q1. So that's doing really well. You've got OneView is now integrated for global payroll.
Global, yep.
And you've certainly got what I think is interesting. I mentioned this earlier, Julie, a new sales leader now focused on SMB go to market. And he's really kind of accelerating things over there. So they've got their own dedicated focus from a sales perspective.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
I know they tweaked their market side. You said down market, and the first thing folks always ask me is, "What is that?" And so
Yeah.
I would probably say it's handily in the hundreds of employees, maybe
Yeah. I knew
eking
you were
up
going to
into the
ask me that.
thousands, but they've shifted a little bit as
Yep.
providers are want to do regularly, what their exact size ranges are.
Hang on. Let me, I knew you were going to ask me that. I have to go back to my documents last year to confirm that. Hang on. I'll see if I can tell you.
I know they just boosted the low end of their large.
Yeah, they didn't
enterprise.
clarify it at this one. It didn't change. But I'm trying to remember. You know what? I will have to find that. I don't have that off the top of my head.
I'm
but
saying where I see it is in the hundreds for sure, and then going up into the thousands. And of course, you can always find, if you're in a solution and you start to grow, you can always find examples of, growing outside of the bounds of the top end of what is the target population, right? So folks shouldn't freak out too much. But,
no, it's all about the use cases that it solves, right? It's not so much about your size or whatever. I mean, it's really about your maturity and how that platform's going to mature with you along what you're trying to solve for. But I can't remember the exact bifurcation. I'm going to say it's like 1,000 and below is maybe ready.
Yeah.
I apologize. I don't remember that.
That's all right. That's kind of naturally where I think I've seen a lot of the cutoff too. But again, if you've grown beyond that, don't worry too much. And sometimes there's a cost play, right? That causes a provider to target maybe a simpler business model with more employees in a different platform. So
yeah. All right. So let me go back here. Let me go back to my notes. I want to talk about some of the new stuff in Ready. Just bear with me a second here. I got to find my notes again. This is where I apologize. I knew I was going to be a little bit clunky bringing up all my stuff here. So just bear with me. Let's go back into Analyst Day.
Hey, it doesn't help if I banter and say something because then I get you on a track.
Well, you threw me for a loop with that one. I don't know. I forgot my bifurcation on their numbers. I'll have to go find that for you.
No
but
worries.
I want to come back here to Ready. And again, another thing I think is important, like all platforms, UKG is also very focused on that customer side about getting people live faster, right? Bringing people to live much quicker for themselves, but obviously for the ROI for the customer is key. But here's a couple things, Julie, I thought were pretty cool. Just some new stuff coming to Ready. Conversational analytics and conversational AI reporting. So that's nice. More agents, more predictive, generative, and agentic agents around various different things. So, for example, one thing that's actually kind of cool was a benefits formula editor and benefits plan designer. So it helps you with both of those sides of the house, kind of on the back end of the less glamorous side of benefits, if you will, helps the administrators. The search and assist, I think this is really cool. Search and assist and search and act is where Bright comes in. It helps employees actually take action based on contextual requests, getting them sort of that, you don't need to be an expert. Let's get you to the right thing, regardless of what your actual lens and context is on how to use the system.
Yeah.
Tell us what you need. We'll get you to the right place, sort of a thing, get you to the right answer. So I really love that. Because look, why should we have to be experts, right? To take a day off, I shouldn't have to be a rocket scientist to know how to use the system. I should be able to easily do that, right? So a paycheck AI agent, which will provide payroll's payslip summarization with an explanation for why behind differences and various contextual conversational experiences. I'd love to see a calculator come into this to help me model pay. I think that'd be really cool. I don't know that anyone has that exactly yet. I know it's possible. I could be wrong, but I'd love to see one of the HCMs maybe bring that to bear too. That'd be nice. And then, of course, great places to work for integration. I believe that was we had already talked about that in the past. So that came to fruition this year, is now integrated with Ready. So your smaller customers can certainly take advantage of that upmarket enterprise style cultural data. You've got your document hub, which again kind of bleeds into that ServiceNow sort of world, this service document kind of world. So this is where I say, like, how much do the HCMs want to cover when it comes to being a help desk? But in this case, obviously, there's a light amount in most HCMs, and certainly Ready. Yeah, right. And then, of course, they are getting more modernization around payroll to make it, again, effortless, right? Not necessarily effortless, but doable for someone who may not know everything there is to know about payroll, right? Guiding them through the process. So that comes in really handy when you think about BCP. Sometimes things happen, right? Especially in smaller companies. If you don't have good backup and continuity, it's good to have at least some help, right? And if the system could guide you through that, all the better, right? I think would be, why not, right? Have some help. Same with benefits or other things.
Yeah, that guidance then is for the payroll team versus for the employee or
the administrator.
manager.
That's going to be on the administrator side. Yeah, maybe an HR leader who's running payroll for the first time.
You don't often hear about those things, right?
No, yeah. Hopefully not. AI-enabled accrual management. I thought that was nice. Accruals are a pain, as we all know, over on the leave side of things. And then, of course, just deepening their payroll with United Kingdom. Now they're going to partner for an engine there, but that will eventually, I'm sure, turn to services and other things as it has in Canada and so on. So, So Ready is, getting more mature.
Quite a list.
Yeah, not bad. And like I said, you're going to see more AI over there on that side of the house, and certainly more focus on bringing data forward. So, as you would see across the platform.
Yeah.
And then over on the pro side, right? Gosh, all the bells and whistles, all the goodies when it comes to large language models, and the ability to utilize both customer or UKG models, Google external models, but also customers' small language models as well, right? So their own sort of micro models will be there. And then of course your Bright, right? Bright's getting stronger, adoption's growing there. I think they said they've got, close to maybe 500 customers or so digging into that. So it's gaining ground. Agents obviously are going to go deeper across pay, time, the people spectrum, and as well as scheduling. And then of course, the new ServiceNow partnership, that's a key integration for those upmarket customers. And when you look at things like, maybe you look over on the other side around, say, payroll. Again, I think they're doing some of the same things, right? Trying to get that touchless capability in there, and really bringing together, just more reporting capabilities, more data and insights, more great places to work in Fusion, which is super differentiated, right? Very, very different than anybody can offer. OneView is obviously very native. They've got OneView Direct. I know we talked about that last time. It's a little bit more of a bring your own payroll capability. I'd love to see them change the name on that. I think that's a little confusing. So I think they'll work on that, but also I believe OneView is doing really well with their customers. I think the play between payroll time and HCM just fits so nicely, and it's integrated really well. So.
Yeah. And one thing I don't think maybe a lot of folks in the market might have caught, but once upon a time, there was only NGA who became Alight, who became Strata, that would connect your existing payrolls versus having to change to a new payroll. And in fact, with the OneView Direct, you no longer have to change your underlying payroll provider. You can actually connect to your existing local country providers, which used to be very limited in the market. Still is. It's limited to a few models.
Yeah. Well, along that lines, they're also working on a global pay, global compliance agent, which is going to help with some of that stuff, right? Detection and legislative local right fitting and staying out of trouble. But Julie, here's something that I think is really, really important. I really am amiss for not mentioning this. One of the key areas that UKG has a super opportunity on, in my opinion, is on that workforce planning side, that strategic workforce planning side. When you think about all the data, the rich data they have from the front line of the business for workforce management, right? And now they're talking about maybe bringing in are going to bring in some guided, AI guided benefits and payroll cost modeling to that, and even conversational reporting around strategic workforce planning. So that's really cool stuff. When you think about big manufacturers or just any organization, but particularly big, global, gnarly, frontline heavy type businesses.
Yeah. I think also just businesses that are service industries and are mostly people,
Yeah, totally. Retail. Yeah. Also internal marketplace. They're bringing on a talent marketplace with micro learning, underpinning that as well. Plus, some other things around, like a new hire agent, a job change agent, which is kind of cool, right? That's another kind of orchestration checkbox, I'd say, when people go from one job to another. That's a weird kind of, what do they call that? It's like onboarding. It's like reboarding in the organization. I feel like sometimes that's not the best experience. And when you're getting promoted, it should be a great experience too, right? Just like anything else.
Yeah,
or
sure.
or just taking a new role in general, right? I mean, there's a lot that goes to that. Sometimes it means you're taking over a new team. You might need new equipment. Maybe the office is changing, your location.
Frankly, it's a touch point, a really important touch point, but it's not one that's super frequent, like logging time
it's part of the journey,
or looking at your pay slip. And so being able to apply some agentic, secret sauce to that is a really good idea.
Yeah. I mean, I think every moment is an experience moment, right? And I think it's an opportunity to lose people or re-recruit them. And if every experience I have is meaningful and exciting and positive, just like when I joined or just like when I whatever, Why not? And I think some of these things we take for granted, right? Like, oh, it's just an employee. He's just moving over to take over a new team. Who cares? It's Bob, Bob from accounting. Well,
Hey, we can't make it too juicy and fun, or we'll have managers
yeah,
going, let's just trade employees
let's swap employees. Yeah, like
so we
Pokemon.
can enjoy the moment.
Yeah, I know. No, but really though, I mean, and there are solutions out there that are actually, working on that journey piece, right? Point solutions, but certainly all of the HCMs. And I think UKG has, again, go back to that connected agent. This is where they have a lot of opportunity. If you have more UKG time, pay, talent, whatever, HCM, you're going to have more opportunity to unlock, I think, more of that stuff. So
yeah.
It's cool, really cool. And, the service, I love the ServiceNow overlap. I really do. I think that's for a lot of people, that is like I said, their workplace, their workspace.
Yeah.
So, makes sense for it to be very tightly weaved into the HCM experience where I'm doing a lot of my time off, time approvals, performance management, whatever.
Well, honestly, there's a bit of that play that is just leveraging investment. If you're a large company and you've just dumped resources into creating experience via ServiceNow, no matter how quickly or how great AI kicks in or some of these automation workflows kick in, you're already invested, and it's going to take some time to rationalize how you used to automate things and how you can automate them now in the future.
Yeah. No, agreed. Yeah. So what else is going on, Julie? What do you got next? I have a couple more events to go. And then,
Yeah,
back at it.
Next week, actually, you and I are both hitting the road, and next week I'm headed out to the HR-specific shared services and outsourcing network. I spend a good amount of time in those events in that community, and they've brought back the HR-specific ones, which I'm a huge fan of. Atlanta. Last year in November was the last time there was one, and I'll be heading back down to Tampa, St. Pete next week. And that gives me a great chance to really get a community of HR leaders together and hear what their latest things are and share and kind of network together with them. So great week ahead.
Very cool. Well, we've got a few more analyst events to go. And thank you again, to UKG. They always do an amazing job. Thank you for hosting us. We stayed at the beautiful Four Seasons there on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. Really nice place. Great get together with everybody.
I hope this leadership team actually gets to the point where they're addressing their other partner networks, including their advisory or consulting partner networks. So they used to do a great job with advisor partner summits as well. I think COVID kicked that to the roadside, and everybody's trying to figure out how or when do they re-engage more with the partner network, the various partner networks. And that's something that I personally am pushing for and looking forward to.
Yeah. No, agreed. Like I didn't mention this, but I did wish they would have given a little bit more time on the partner side. I have some questions from my clients, vendors, particularly startups that are looking to partner. But look, Julie, I think I saw on that, from what I saw, benefits is a key area. And I know you guys over at Brown & Brown are key in that space. So it would be good to see those come back for sure. And I imagine as the team gets their foot under them, they're gonna reinvigorate some of the things they do to engage their team. So
I
hopefully
think so.
so.
Looking forward to that and hoping that they get some renewed energy in that direction as well. Most HCMs have realized that the bigger and the stronger the partner network is, the easier it is to hit those growth targets, because you can't, doing it organically is really tough.
Oh yeah. And I think for all the firms, right? I mean, getting their technology, their innovation to accelerate is going to take letting people build, partners, helping fill gaps with sectors and countries and various different, nuances. So completely agree. Hey, by the way, I did a quick look back on the size breakdowns.
Couldn't let it go, could you?
No, well, I should know that.
Dog with a bone is awesome.
I've been studying these guys for 10 years. I should know the answer to this. But ready is typically your 500 down to about 75. So say about 100 to 500 is typically right for the ready guys. I would argue that's higher, depending upon the complexity of the company. Just all the things that they've brought into ready, I think that could still stretch quite a bit above that and support many firms.
I'm actually seeing it come into play a little bit above that. And I'm sure it's always circumstantial. So you always lean into the sales team to kind of figure out when the stars align for that. But
I think it depends on the WFM need that you have, as well as the talent sort of side of things that you have as well.
And look for buyers that are growing, because we're in a lot, we've been in for years, a kind of an M&A and divestiture type of an environment.
Yeah.
A couple of products just begs the question at what if I'm growing and I grow beyond the span of the product that was right-sized for me a year ago, right? And it's something that the PEOs struggle with. It's something that, when you have those sizable types of assets underneath you, you do have to recognize that some customers will hit a threshold or will merge or will grow, and something will happen, and all of a sudden there's an event that causes them to need to right size.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
well,
right.
Look, it's been good, Julie. This has been fun, and again, thanks to UKG, and we will be back with more pretty soon, I'm sure. Something will happen in the market, or there'll be another event we'll be able to cover. So
that's right.
Stick and stay with us. We appreciate you.